that the method to ministry in the days to come will go through the internet. It will go through the electronic digital world. Ministries that don't have the capacity will suffer greatly. And people would claim that that was their graphics or that was their song. And so what Facebook would do and does do is they freeze your video. They block it so that it can't go out until you state your claim. And then you state, you make your appeal. Then the other group has so many days to make their appeal. And if they don't answer in so many days in a way that defends it, then Facebook releases the video. Now, what do they release it from? They release it from a hold, because when they block my video, it's blocked in 254 countries for the period of time it takes. So what's happening to my message? My message is being stalled because someone is claiming that the content in my message, be it the graphics or the audio, belongs to them. So instead of them making them prove it first, their default position on Facebook is they block it. I go out there and I surf real quick after I put out my stuff because I know that happens. I mean, I had groups like Being Indian. Can you believe I had Hare Krishnas? They were claiming it. I had UMG. I had some major groups. I'm not talking about small potatoes claiming those things, but I always push back, and I'm batting 100. I've won every case. You know, I've got lots of them. I'm keeping a running record of it. Got lots of cases where I win because the stuff basically I create from scratch. I have license to do what I do. And I write my own music, and of course, some cases the sermons are given to me of God. And I'm making a point, so follow me. So the opposition is coming. So I'm feeling like, okay, it's just a craft thing, and maybe it's no spiritual thing behind it. You know, I'm trying to think like that now. I restream on Facebook when we go out on Sundays or whenever I'm out live. It's called Restream, so it sends from one signal to several platforms. So I restream to Facebook. I restream to Twitch, I restream to LinkedIn, and I restream to YouTube, just to name a few. So I determine when I want to do it. So if I hit the send button, it's going to go out to those places. So at the same time, I'm like on 5 different places. Now, YouTube has never really bothered me. But lately, this is interesting. YouTube, they're not claiming the content, but YouTube is claiming that my sermons were making false claims. The one thing that God won't reveal. Now, I don't know what was in that sermon that made them block it for a minute. Actually, in YouTube's case, they didn't block it. They took it down. Okay, at least Facebook would let it stay up. YouTube took my video down, and I saw it, and I responded to their claim. And I said, this is a sermon. I said, you need to listen to the sermon. And they listened to it and they said, oh, we made a mistake. They apologized. Then the next one was, there's no vaccination for this. YouTube took it down, said it's making false claims. I guess they thought I was saying that the COVID-19 vaccination won't work. So I wrote in my appeal. I said, listen, you need to listen to the sermon. I said, because in my sermon, as y'all know, I advocate for people to take the vaccination on several of my sermons. You've heard me do that. And so they listened, they said, oh, our mistake, our bad, and they put it back up. Well, the one I did this past Sunday, they took that sermon down. And that sermon is the difference between Mother Nature and God. I said, okay, now why are you taking that one down? And they sent me a link. I fired back. And I said, so what are you saying? Because I thought one, maybe because when I Restream sends out a duplicate copy of the sermon. So there's what they call spamming. So I thought that maybe they thought I was spamming. And I said, well, no, I said, that's just done by the default of my software. But I can fix that. I can make it not do that if that's a problem. I said, so is it because of that, or is it because of my claim about the Bible? And I gave them the chapter of the book of Revelation, and I copy paste that. I said, so which is it? And so they listen, they say, oh, our mistake, our bad, and they put it back up. But let me explain this to you. The message that I'm preaching, because I'm also talking about, homosexuality and other things, they're trying to purge the atmosphere of things that get in the way of their business ideas. So what you're having now, and I'm beginning to see this, a lot of this is taking place on the internet for those that have a top-heavy message. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I know I speak penetrating things when I talk. And I speak sense when I speak. And it can be, disarming for some who have an agenda, like it was with Demetrius here. Paul spoke penetrating things. He spoke to their core. And the evident effect was 50,000 pieces of silver in value of books from Curious Hearts have been burnt up. That's a lot of money. So we got to shut him down because he's affecting our business. And so I recognize this as being important because I told you all last year when the Lord prompted me to get my own channel, my streaming channel, I went kicking and screaming because I'm an audio guy. And if you know anything about video requires a lot more study. It takes a whole lot more to do video than it does audio because you have audio and video. Then you're dealing with codecs, you're dealing with resolution, you're dealing with kilohertz. It's just a whole bunch you got to learn. You have to know. Then you got to get creative and create the content. You can do a 2-minute commercial and it can take you literally 7 hours. And I'm not making that up. Just to do that. And so it's a lot of work. And I went kicking and screaming. And I had gotten on one server and I didn't like it. And the Lord led me to another one, which I won't go into because it's a long story, but it was a mammoth blessing. Literally, he put me on a server with Amazon, which in a company that caters to military, cable access, and cruise ships. I'm the only independent person they have ever used. They're experimenting with me. They said, we've never done this before. We want to try you. They're out of Washington State. So I got this multi-million-dollar corporation allowing me to be on their server. Not only one, a private person. But the Lord opened that door for me. And I began to see why he was doing that. Particularly now with YouTube and with Facebook. Because you need to understand that the method to ministry in the days to come will go through the internet. It will go through the electronic digital world. Ministries that don't have the capacity will suffer greatly. Because just as I'm trying to put a message out and they're slapping it down, they're stuck with Facebook and they're stuck with YouTube. I have my own streaming channel. I don't need them. I literally can program 24/7 and my content stays up because I control it. They have to pay subscriptions or be on there for free and be governed by their community guidelines and rules. I don't have to do that. I can say what I want, when I want, what time of day I want, and put it out there as many times I want on my channel. Now, with that said, that's why y'all need to make sure you get the app because I'm going to have to get off of those platforms pretty soon the way I'm on there because they're starting to push in. They're opposing the ministry, the opportunity, because it does affect the business in a way.